Evening folks, this is Best and Slot with your monthly update for Prehistoric Kingdom on the same day it came out. I know! It's definitely a slightly smaller update this month as the team has been ramping up to their display at PAX West, but that doesn't mean there's not some interesting tidbits in here, and tidbits is still a great word, including some pretty great dinosaur reveals. I'm going to link the blog down below if you want to check it out for yourselves, and throw me a like if you found this video informative or entertaining, or if it helped delay the void in your life for 10 more minutes. Let's get started. We get a couple of shots from PAX West to kick things off, nothing much to focus on here. It does seem that Prehistoric Kingdom's partnership with their publisher, Critivo, is letting them push the advertising pretty hard, though, which is nice to see. If you're lucky enough to be at PAX, damn you can play a small slice of the game. Only Edmontosaurus will be present because, as I said last month, Edmontosaurus is always present, but you'll be able to play with some great exhibit customization and the like. Give it a go and report back to us. You can be like our spy, basically. Next up, we have our monthly update sheet thingamajiggy. There wasn't one of these last month, so I went back to May to check the progress, and it's been around 6% since the last time we saw this thing. Most of the progress has been made in the completion of the structure assets, but mainly the huge development has been in dinosaur AI, assumedly something they've wanted moderately ready before the PAX display. There's not much to say on this. As they've said, focus has been on the PAX build for a couple of months now. We should start to see some more changes from, say, September onwards. Speaking of onwards, I'm going to play a lovely little video in the background here. There's nothing to listen out for, so you're going to have to listen to me, I'm afraid. What we're seeing here, though, is the implementation of the aforementioned locomotion AI, as well as the inverse kinematics system that we've talked about in the past. Basically, it makes your dinosaurs move more realistically uphill and stuff like that. It uses coding to decide where limb placement should be. Once the Prenocephales come into the picture, it really does look great, and although this is still at an alpha stage of development, the game is slowly but surely coming together, eh? I'll leave you with the rest of the video, and then we'll move on. And move on we shall, to talk about the game's contract system. Although the building isn't named in the blog, we can assume it's some form of management building. If you look at the bottom left, you'll see one of these contracts, i.e. missions, called Building a Kingdom, and that's to build an Edmontosaurus paddock. That mission has a percentage bar that can be filled in by doing little sub-missions, like the one above it that requires the player to build an animal nursery, so they can check out the Edmontosaurus before building it a paddock. Now, whilst this starter mission seems tied in with the first island in a sort of tutorial-like manner, the devlog does mention that they're capable of generating random contracts with a lot of freedom. So I assume we're going to get main missions from the board of directors like this one, and then random contracts from, say, I don't know, Bob, who lives down the road. Bob's a needy guy. What these contracts involve or what they'll reward, we'll have to wait and see. You can assume funds, but maybe skins and stuff like that would be pretty cool. And if you get these contracts, you're going to be able to view them on this screen right here. This is your inbox in the management screen. You can see the aforementioned contract right there. It's from the board of directors and is called Building a Kingdom. There is plenty of room for other contracts though. Just don't make anybody sabotage our parks if we neglect them, okay? Also, I'm not sure what this little star did to deserve being hanged, but it seems the rope has snapped and it's going to get away anyway. I do not understand this icon in the slightest. I'm very curious. Anyways, that's the non-dinosaur malarkey kind of got through. Let's look at some dinosaurs. All but one of the 2-star creatures have now been revealed at this point, so we're going to be moving into some bigger and more impressive creatures this week, starting off with the 3-star Ceratosaurus. Other than their social requirements, these are surprisingly unpicky dinosaurs that don't really need much in the way of security, privacy, space, or anything really. It does look great, however, though the jade skin unlocked at 100% seems a more natural fit for 50% than the impressively colourful sunburst skin. Although maybe that's my fetish for colourful dinosaurs coming to the fore. Either way, this is one of my favourite dinosaur designs already in the entire game, and I love the little emphasis they've had on adding colour to the nose ridges and the spinal column. Following the Cerato is the Oviraptor, what I believe is our final 2-star creature. A little more social than the Ceratosaurus, the Oviraptor has fairly tame requirements, I should imagine, for what is basically an oversized turkey. Alan, please don't hurt me. It's interesting that the Oviraptor is an insectivore, as you can see by the little icon in the top right. Now, Oviraptor was of course long regarded as an egg eater, the name means egg thief, who had gorged on the eggs of Protoceratops. Whilst that could still in theory be the case, there isn't actually any evidence for it, and the Protoceratops eggs were actually Oviraptor eggs. So whilst it could have been an egg thief, we don't currently have any real evidence for that. Instead, we know it at least ate lizards. We did find the Oviraptor with a lizard carcass inside it. Given the strength of its beak as well, it's probably adept at breaking through the shells of mollusks and stuff like that. It's going to be interesting whether animals are capable of eating multiple types of food, because Oviraptor certainly shows evidence of being a meat eater of some description anyway. Anyway, onto another big deal dinosaur, it's the Baryonyx, and it's a big deal because A, it's British, and B, it doesn't look like the one from Fallen Kingdom. A piscivore with the same space requirements as the Ceratosaurus, the Baryonyx does however require a lot more privacy, but it also has much more lax social requirements. You can hold up to 10 Baryonyx in one paddock, that's pretty crazy. And that probably makes it a better dinosaur to hold than the Ceratosaurus in some ways. You may have a less visible paddock, but being able to cram 10 dinosaurs together has to be pretty good for your park rating. Barry looks great with his prominent ridge and spine, and the smoked sail skin at 100% both looks great and sounds pretty delicious actually. Finally, for our dinosaur looks we have... okay. It's the Edmontosaurus. Absolutely bloody everywhere. Don't get me wrong, it's a nice Edmontosaurus, and I love that the different skins you can unlock resemble different species of the dinosaur, especially that colourful little gravelled one. It's actually got some pretty interesting stats as well, requiring an exhibit 4 times bigger than both the Ceratosaurus and the Baryonyx, assumedly because, like most modern large herbivores, it likes to graze and move at the same time. It also has insane social requirements. It has a minimum of 10, but can herd with up to 39 other dinosaurs of the same species. It's fairly nuts. It also has higher security needs than both the Ceratosaurus and the Baryonyx, despite those being carnivores. Edmontosaurus is doing its best to be cool despite being everywhere, and it's done a pretty good job with those stats. I also like that the only Edmontosaurus with a head comb is the Regalis variant, which is the one that was discovered to have a head comb relatively recently. We actually saw that same adaptation happen in Jurassic World Evolution. Next up, we're going to cycle through a few images of the foliage from the tropical dry climate, featuring not only famous plant life like the baobab and acacia trees, but offering a cheeky glimpse at some feeders and what looks to be vents or something in the pool. I don't know what those are, if you guys can see those. Maybe it's a fish feeder, maybe it's a gateway to a Lovecraftian sewer system, who knows. I really love the huge baobab, a tree that barely looks like real in real life, but it does look pretty great here with the other tropical dry foliage. It's nice to see these trees and bushes, this time for the first time near enough, being enveloped into actual exhibits as well, and I'm taking that as a good sign for the game's overall development as we push towards the first public beta thingamajiggy. Off the plants and onto the buildings, we'll have our first proper look at the observation tower. This multi-tiered wooden looking building will allow your guests to view your dinosaurs from multiple elevations, which is obviously necessary to maintain good guest satisfaction. Bit of a rubbish park if your guests can't see the dinosaurs, eh? There's also a huge binoculars icon sitting atop the building, which I've got to say in my opinion looks a little daft. Like, I'm not a big fan, but I'm sure some people are. Each to their own, blah 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 blah. In order to tie in better with this observation tower, which has just been finished, the viewing gallery has also been updated with a new texture set that, makes it look a little bit more like the observation tower. This is a surprisingly complex little building that's also multi-tiered, with an open balcony at the top and a viewing area blocked with glass on the bottom tier. I love the little connectors at the side that link in with the fences, and for some reason I really like the external staircase as well, even if that means being eaten by some of the taller dinosaurs. Apparently the flooring also has a ammonite style design, but it is a little difficult to see at these resolutions. We're nearly at the end now folks, but before we go we have a sound update for, you guessed it, the Edmontosaurus. I know, it's the Pax dinosaur, I just find it amusing. Anyway, I don't want to talk over this, so enjoy a minute or so of the Edmontosaurus rumbling away. In fairness, it does sound incredibly lifelike and booming, and I can absolutely envision hearing these same noises in some prehistoric jungle somewhere whilst a herd of Edmontosaurus stomps nearby. It does slightly remind me of noises I definitely heard in some horror film, I can't remember which, especially that staggered guttural noise towards the end, but that's pretty cool anyway, right? On to our final section for the month then with the animal redux, that is the revitalisation of some of the older animal models. First up this week is the Oviraptor from earlier, and it really does look great here, though I would have expected a splash more of colour on some of the designs. And I'm a huge fan though of the particularly terrifying red-eyed one on the far left. In order to really see these improvements though, it's better to compare the Oviraptor to its old variants, so that's a hell of a change, huh? The feathers have been scaled down and look much more realistic. There's been a great texture update, but the main change comes at the head. That's a big difference. From terrifying plastic toy to actual dinosaur. The less intense beak colouring, the addition of more feathers, as well as the more realistic eye makes a world of difference. And our final image for today shows the Gallimimus with a similar redux, and again it's just better really. The feathers around the arms and tail in particular are a huge substantial improvement, as are the eyes with those new eye shaders, as well as the much fluffier neck, also improved thanks to the new shaders. It can't be easy to go back to work you've already completed and update it in some ways. It may feel like you're not really making progress, these dinosaurs were done, sort of, why go back and change them? So I really appreciate that the Prehistoric Kingdom devs are willing to be critical of and keep improving their own work, and really the results speak for themselves, because these look great. Anywho, that's it from me this week. I imagine next month is going to be very low key because of PAX, but hopefully we get some gameplay or something from the show floor, and we'll be able to talk about that instead. Consider throwing me a like if you, like this video, and absolutely go check out the devlog at the Prehistoric Kingdom website or the Critivo website and show them your support on social media. For me, PK is a little bit of a dark horse at the moment. I really think it's going to blow some minds when we finally get hold of the game for ourselves. Pachow, like that, pachow, you feel me? Anyways, thanks for joining me, cheers much love as always, bye bye. Hey folks, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you want to help support me a little bit more, you can do so at patreon.com/bestinslot. There's a link in the description down below. Every little really does help in times like these, but it's not at all expected, and by just watching the video you've already helped me out massively, and it makes you a pretty cool person, so well done you. Thanks for joining me either way, I'll see you next time.